Okay, thank you,
Great.
Michelle. So, hi everyone, welcome. We're so happy to be here with you today. I think some of you have already showed up to our workshops, so welcome back. And for those who are with us for the first time, welcome. My name is Hayat. I work as a content practice leader at Sparathon. I'm also training as a career coach, which what we do here with Localized every Monday. I will be with you today with my co-facilitators, Iyad and Cynthia. Hi, guys.
Hi, hi.
And of course, Michelle will moderate this event. So thank you, Michelle. Oh, hi, Iyad. Hi, Cynthia. If you can just give us a little of intro to both of you.
Sure. I'll start. So my name is Iyad, and with Hayat and Cynthia, we are the facilitators of these weekly workshops at Localized, and we've been doing it we're doing them for years. Thank you for joining, and look forward to kind of actually have a wonderful conversation and sharing valuable information with you.
Thank you, Iyad. Thank you, Hayat. Hi, everyone. I'm Sandhya. I'm a consulting practice leader at Marathon. I wear another hat as a career coach here at Localized, as Iyad and Hayat told you. I'm very happy to meet you here today in our session. So the stage is yours, Hayat.
Thank you. Thank you, Iyad, and thank you, Cynthia. Okay, so as you know, our workshop today is about interviews, how to show up for an interview and how to ace any interview. So before we start, I want to give you a glance of how the session is going to be like. And meanwhile, I think Iyad will share with us the slides that we're going to use for today's webinar. So we will start with an introduction to how we like to think of interviews. Then we will dive into the structures we use and how to apply them to interviews questions or answers. Then you will see an actual demo where we will apply those structures live to improve interviews answers. And last but not least, we will stop for 10 minutes to answer any question that you have. So are you ready to start?
Yeah, I need Michelle to give me a sharing ability.
Oh, sorry.
No worries, no worries. Let me try now. Yes, perfect. Okay, just give me 1 second. Can you all see my screen?
Take your time. Yes, perfectly. Thank you, Iyad. Okay, so as I told you guys, in the next slide, you can see the agenda for today's meeting. We have 5 minutes intro, which what we've been doing, 25 minutes for structures that I told you about, and then we'll do a live demo, and we'll take some time to have some questions and answers. So now, with that said, let's kick it off. And let's start with the mindset. We believe that everything starts from the mindset. So, how do we think of interviews and how do we deal with interviews? This is what Iyad is going to tell us about now.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Hayat. So, so this is how we think about interviews. I like this saying that all models are wrong, but some are useful. So this is our model, and I would like you to think about it, internalize it, think how it works for you, when it works for you, and see if what the limitations of this when it comes to your context. So the way we think about interviews, it's as a conversation. So interviews are a word that people use to describe the conversation that happens in the process of getting hired. So after you submit your resume, you usually the process is you get a call for your first screening call from the recruiter or the hiring manager. Then you go through a process. The process is usually with the the hiring manager or the team member. Then like a panel or 4 or 5 people. Then maybe there's a test. There's a technical assessment. There are different types of interviews, right? Now, if you just look at all interviews, there's a common denominator, and we think that it's a conversation. It's a high level, high form of testing, but it's a verbal conversation between two people. And it's a spectrum too. So you can have like a very structured interviews, and sometimes you find very verbal chats where two people just chatting and like a two people just having a coffee chat, right? What we think about it is interviews are is a form of human conversation, and there's a structure part to it, but also there's an intuition part to it. If you just follow a script and you repeat what you're saying over and over without actually bringing your own intuition to the conversation, then that would sound mechanical, and it's not going to show all the beauty and magic of your identity and your personality and all the strength. You're going to leave a lot of good information on the table. Same thing, if you're just talking without a structure, yeah, it's going to sound very unprepared, not professional. You're not going to hit the mark. So think about it as what I want to say that reflects my personality and my strength and how I can help the organization at the same time. It's not about me, it's not about them, it's about me and them at the same time. It's about the we in the process. And as Hayat said, there's a mindset in the process. So if you think about interviews in a way, that will actually consciously and unconsciously drive your responses and drive your preparation and drive your results and outcomes. But if you think about it in a different way, that will impact your outcomes as well. So I wanted you to think about interviews as conversations. My invitation, Hayat and Cynthia and I, and pretty much at Localized, we think about interviews as conversations, think about them this way, but also think about them that this is something you can develop, you can grow, you can manufacture. And there are things that you can double click on, like a macro skills. We can talk about them today, but also there are tools that could help you become better at interviews. Um, One of the best ways to actually ace interviews is to think about them as a process. So for our conversation today, usually our meetings, we don't think about the session as a session. We think about it as a pre, during, and after. So pre-sessions are intentions, how I like to show up. Usually I would like to show up in a certain way, or every time I change. Today I chose to show up as a a conversationalist, where someone who's just having a conversation with people, not talking at you, but talking to you or talking with you. And also reflections after every conversation, we reflect, what did we do well as a team, what can we do better as a team, right? This is how you grow. So think about interviews this way. Every interview I go to, ask yourself this question: how do I like to show up? This question alone is going to bring all the mindset that you intentionally want to put in the process, but sometimes you forget because you are, go into the process without thinking about it. So bring some intentionality, pause, and think about how I would like to show up to this conversation. Today I have a job interview. I would like to show up as a problem solver. I'm not going to show up as someone who's going to repeat answers and scripts, right? And then after the session, well, one thing I can do better is I can be more concise. And one thing I did well is I was clear and credible, something like that. Right. Try to express, again, don't impress. It's not about impressing people. It's about expressing your strength and personality and the magic and the things that you've done and things that you can do in the context of the job that you're applying for. One thing also, when you think about job interviews, think about them as a marathon. So when you think about a long process, something that you need to invest time, efforts, and resources for a long time, like running a marathon, is you might need to think about how I can sustain my motivation and drive for a long time. And the best way to do that is to create an environment, what called trait self-control, an environment that can help you sustain this behavior, right? Instead of investing your willpower and depleting your strength in this. So one of the best way is to use the language. Language is your best friend when it comes to sustaining motivation for a long time. And one of the best ways to think about it when it comes to job interviews, I think about the words that could sometimes create a negative impact, like the word rejection, like the word not a fit. We got, you know, a lot of applications. We're sorry, whatever, all these things, right? These are not motivating words or responses or outcomes. However, you have the power to see them as fuel, not just also you have the permission also, and you have the right to think about them as, you know what, not positive outcomes. We choose to think about outcomes as in a neutral way and think about them how they can sustain our energy for a long time, especially in a world right now, which is it's not the candidate market, it's the employer market. A lot of people are applying. So think about your not I'm rejected. Think about your application because it's not about you. They don't know you. They only see the resume or the interview. And think about it as it's a redirection to something better because it's about the fit. It's not a something personal. And last but not least, content is not king. A lot of people say, well, I have a great resume and I'm not getting jobs or getting calls or I'm not getting offers. Why? And the thing is that because it's not about the content of your resume. It sometimes has to do with something bigger, more complex, and you have less control and influence when it comes to that. And one of them is the context. The context we're talking about here when you apply to a job is sometimes not something you can access. You don't know why they posted the job. You don't know how many people applied to this opportunity. You don't know whether exactly they're looking for. They're not writing in the job post. There are a lot of things happening here. And sometimes you have control over it. Sometimes, like when you apply to a job or for to get an opportunity, you basically think you're reading the job post, but you're also reading it in a way that you're projecting your own perspectives. So you're not reading exactly what is written. You're reading what you want to read. And even if you read more objectively, you're not willing or investing time in contextualizing your story to match the actual job post. So what I want you to think about in this um, conversation is think about interviews as a process, as a skill set, as a mindset, something you express in the context of the job post, and always try to be more relevant. All right, I'll stop here. I took way more time than I usually do, but I hope that was useful for you. Back to you, Hayat.
Thank you, Iyad, so much for sharing this unique perspectives. I always enjoyed listening to you talking about this. So, but now we'll leave the stage for Cynthia to walk us through the first structure we should use when we answer interviews question. So, Cynthia, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Hayat. Thank you, Iyad, for the explanation. Well, as Hayat said, we will start with our structure for today. The first one is the 7 C's. Starting with the 7 C's. 7 C's are 7 elements that we use to craft the art of communication. During job interview, our ability to effectively communicate becomes a crucial point. So here, let's dive in to learn more about the magical 7 C's. Now, let's take an overview. They are 7 elements, as I said: clear, clean, concise, creative, customized, confident, and credible. Clear is about the ease of understanding. Clean is the absence of filler words and errors. Concise is the economy of words. Creative is about authentic voice and charisma. Customized is about the relevance to the subject that we are talking about. Confident is about strong, courageous tone that we use. Credible is about the factual information and strong arguments that we can bring to the table. Now, what we'll do is that we will practice these 7 C's. So what I want from you is to engage with me in some exercises to understand how we can implement the 7 C's in our job interviews. Each one of them will have 2 sentences, and you can tell me by writing here in the chat which one you think is more correct. Starting with the clear. What do you think here, guys? Which one do you think is clear? As we said, clear is about the ease of understanding. When we are communicating in a job interview, imagine yourself communicating with a recruiter. So what do you think here? You can type in the chat, which one do you think is clear? 2. Lisa is telling us that 2 is clear. Donald also. Okay. Well, yes. Thank you so much. Oh, we have Osman saying 1 and Salah saying 2. Well, as we can see here, the second one is more clear because we mentioned, like, for example, a percent analyzing vast data sets led to a 10% sales boost. If you can take a look on the first one, we don't have much powerful detail, so it's not clear enough the point of the phrase that we are talking about. So I hope this was enough, guys, to be clear. At the end of the session, we can answer your questions if anything is not clear yet. Now, going to the second element of the 7 C's. If Iyad can help us with turning to the second slide. Iyad, are you here?
Yeah, it's turned for me. It's clean now.
Oh, okay.
I see clean
Sorry.
on the screen.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Okay. So now we have the clean part. What do you think, guys? Clean is the absence of filler words and errors, as we said. So what do you think? Okay. Have 2 again. Yes, correct. It's correct. As you can see here, the first one has many mistakes and writing mistakes, but in saying also, we need to be clean in our communication, verbal or written. Now, going to the third element, the concise part. Concise, it was about the economy of words. So what do you think here, guys? When we are talking, it's preferred to be short, concise, and to the point. Donald is saying the first one. Usman also is saying the first one. Well, yes, correct. The first one, you can notice here that it's way shorter than the second one. This is the point, actually. It's simple, just use shorter sentences, less words. Here we can say that less is more. Now, going to the fourth element, we have the customized part, the creative. Oh, I see. We have the creative part. Creativity is about being authentic and use your own voice and your own story. For example, we can use many templates, but when I tell my own story, it will be more authentic. So what do you think here, guys? So, well, it's true. As you can see, starting with a storytelling and giving an actual story or personal story of a certain case. Here, if I can give you an explanation, it's the answer of the question. Tell me about yourself as a content writer in a job interview. So here, as you can see, guys, in the second one, it's more authentic and relevant to the person who is talking. Okay, now going to the fifth element, sorry, of the 7 C's, we have the customized part. Customization is about the relevance to the subject, how we can be relevant to what we are saying exactly, not mentioning so many details that are not relevant to the subject. So here we have a content writer who's applying for a content writer job, and we have an architect who's applying for an architect title. What do you think is more customized here, the first one or the second one? The first one. Okay, Alex is saying the first one. Who's else? Donald is saying the second one. Okay, Usman is saying the second one. Okay, not sure here. Yes, actually, usually this is controversial because it's about the title that you're applying for. Let's make it simple and take an example. I am a content writer who's applying for a content writing job, and my background in architecture. It's not bad to have a background different from your practical experience, let's say, but it's not relevant. So here, what do we mean exactly with the customization is being relevant to the title that you are applying for. For example, I am an architect with an architecture background, so this is relevant. But if I am a content writer with a background of architecture, it's not that relevant. You can mention it in the resume, like you can put it at the end of the resume. It's okay. It's beneficial that you have this degree, but it's not relevant to what you are applying for. As a recruiter, for me, it's not from my priority to know if you have experience in architecture or not. Okay. Okay, Tessa, thank you so much. Now, if we go to the next one, we have the confident part. Well, here it's all about being confident. So what do you think? Which one is more confident? Let's see, I will not tell you anything about the confident part. Okay. Tessa is saying 2. Usman is saying 2. Well, yes, as you can see here, the first one has many words like tried, it seems, might. It's not entirely clear. So it's not powerful words, and it's a sign of hesitation. So in the job interviews, we need to be confident, saying the things that we are sure about or confident about. Like the second one, also mentioning percentages, certificates, any references can be also added to the next element that we'll talk about now, which is the credible part. Here, about credibility, it's all about having a strong argument that you can bring to the table. What references you have, what referrals, what facts you have, actually. Like fact, information about yourself, real experience. Okay, so here Usman is saying the second one. Okay. Well, yes. Alex also is saying the second one. Well, exactly. The second one is more credible because it has more percentages. We can see that the project is 9 members and we have so many details, so it's more credible. Here, if you can talk about your certificates, your referrals that you work with, anything that can add more credibility to your speech, let's say, or your communication in the job interview can be very beneficial. Well, this is it. That was the 7 C's. Thank you so much, guys, for the participation with me. And now I will leave the stage for Iyad.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you so much for the 7C rundown. So right now we're gonna move to the second part, which is part. So this is a specific framework for interviews. You use it specifically when you have a job interview. And this is like a structure that we didn't invent, but we created our own, twist. So it's known as a STAR method, which is situation, task, action, results. What we're doing is we usually think about situations as a problem. There's a tension. There's a reason that you are part of a project. And mentioning the problem immediately creates compassion and empathy with the recruiter. Then you jump into the action. So what you actually did, not the team did, you did, because you people really want to know your contribution to this specific project and how you thought about the problem, how you thought about the process, and how you thought about the outcomes. And this is basically what you need to show is the impact, the results. And last is that after you deliver the outcomes and deliver the project, what was the outcome on you, the actual personal outcome, the takeaway, the learning, the impact, the shift in thinking, all these things. So think about it as if someone asks you, tell me about a time when you worked with a team member, you have to describe the problem, what the situation, what was the problem between you and the team member, what you actually did with that team member, what was the impact of your work, and the takeaways, what you learned from that experience. Okay? All right. So let's move to the next part, which is, and last but not least, the power of 3.
Thank you, Iyad, and thank you, Cynthia. So now, if we're going to move to the last and the third structure that we use, we're going to talk about fictional stories. No, I'm just kidding. However, I want you guys to look at these pictures and try to guess what common things they have. So the first one is 3 little pigs. The second one is the 3 bears. And the last one is the 3 musketeers. So if you think about it, what similarities do you see among the 3? You can write in the chat while I'll keep going and I can give you more clues if you want. So for example, some of the famous sayings and phrases we have is ready, set, go. We even say when we want to start something, let's start on the count of 3. Nike says, just do it. Just do it. Okay. So did you know by any chance what I'm hinting to here? I didn't see any answers in the chat. 3 little pigs, 3 bears. So we have Osman is saying 3. It's a group of 3. Exactly. It's the element 3. So 3 musketeers, 3 bears, 3 pigs. If you look around, you will see the number 3 or the element 3 far more than you expected. And this is not random at all. Even when someone says something and you don't like it, what do we say? We say blah, blah, blah. So you don't say it 1 time or even 2 times. No, it has to be 3. Blah, blah, blah. Even marketing people who know how to make use of everything have also known how to use this magical number in their strategies. And that's why you see slogans here consisting of 3 words like Nike's "Just Do It" or McDonald's "I'm loving it." Even some of the most famous companies, their names consist of 3 letters. Again, as you can see here, like HBO, MTV, NBA, and etc. But the question is all of this coming out randomly? Definitely not. It can actually be traced back to neuroscience. How? Well, it appears that the number 3 is the smallest number required to create a pattern. And your brain, my brain, all of our brains, they love patterns. So the point is, it's much easier for our brains to remember things in groups of 3. So now we know 3 is a magical number. But I think some of you are now saying like, weren't we talking about interviews? Yes, we still are, I promise. The thing is, when you are in an interview answering questions, you might get surprised with a question you didn't even prepare for. And sometimes we found ourselves going so deep into details that we lose track of what we were saying or what we've been talking about. So if you lost track, the interviewer will definitely lose track and we won't get anywhere. And that's why the power of 3 is so important. So to learn and practice how to structure your answers in groups of 3, first of all, it will be much easier for you to remember it. And second, it will be much easier for the interviewer to remember what you said and to remember your answers in general. It will help you a lot to sound more structured and more organized. So that's the power of 3. And that's the third one of our structure, 7 C's, the part method, and the power of 3. So now, in the next maybe 10 minutes, we'll do a demo, Cynthia and I. She will be interviewing me, asking me questions, and I will practice to answer these questions based on the structures that we used. So are you ready, Cynthia?
Yes, exactly. As Hayat said, let's see what Hayat will do in a job interview. Well, hi Hayat.
I'll try my best.
Okay, I'm here to help you. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Well, hi Hayat.
Hi, Cynthia.
Tell me about a time when you had to work with a difficult team member.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, I remember I had this one team member. He was really annoying. Like, he didn't want to listen, he didn't want to cooperate. Like, he really made everything really difficult. It was very tough.
Mhm. See, this is it. You finished, right?
I'm finished. Is there
Okay.
anything else I should say?
No, I'm just asking. Okay. Thank you so much, Hayat, for your answer. How would you give your answer on a scale 1 to 10 based on the methods that we discussed today?
Well, honestly, as Hayat, I will give it like a 0.
Oh, 0. Why?
Yeah. Well, because it like based on what first of all, based on the 7 C's, it's not clear at all. It's not even clean. It's not concise. It's short. It's not concise. You can't call this concise. This is short. It's incomplete. I didn't use the part method. Um, I think you want to know how I handled this problem or this person more than what was the person like and how I was feeling about it. So
Exactly.
that's why I won't give it like a very great number. What do you think?
Okay. Well, for me, I think it gave me an overview, and it's good to know your emotions, how you felt in this situation, because that was authentic actually. But what can you do to make it more? Can you tell me more?
Yeah, exactly. I can definitely talk a little bit more because I didn't say basically I didn't say anything.
Okay, let's see. Hello, Hayat. Can you hear me? Are you still here? Okay, let's see, Hayat. If it's here, maybe the internet. It's Hayat or me. Can you hear me, guys? Iyad, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. So we
Okay.
can, if
Okay.
you want, we can continue, Cynthia, if you want. So
Yes,
what?
of course, of course.
Right.
Well, hi,
Hold
Iyad.
on. Hi. So let's do a different question, maybe.
Okay. Well, let's start with a simple question. Tell me about yourself.
That's a simple question. Okay.
Yeah, it's the basic question in the interviews, right?
The hardest question. Okay. All right, tell you about myself. So, hi, I'm Iyad. Uh, I'm sitting in my kitchen right now, and really, it's a very, I don't know, like it's raining today, but not much. Um, what exactly you want to know?
Thank you so much, Iyad. I like raining. But I want to know more about your experience, your background. What can you
Okay.
bring to the table?
All right. Yeah, I studied computer science. So the job I'm applying for is an executive coach
Mhm.
at a one of the big five companies. So I can tell you about my undergrad education in computer science. What do you think?
Well, do you see that relevant to your experience or what you are applying for?
Yeah, but this is what I studied in my undergrad.
Yes, I understand, and it's very cool, IT engineering. But as we said in the customized part, that our conversation needs to be relevant to what we are applying for.
Oh, I
So
see.
yeah, if we can do it again and
Okay.
try to make it more customized.
Oh, I see. Okay. So thank you, Cynthia, for the question and for the opportunity. I work right now at a leadership coaching company. I lead behavioral science and people and culture. I'm also an executive coach. I help thousands of leaders through direct coaching, group coaching, or building the science of coaching, the measurement, the impact, and all things related to leadership coaching within organizations. I have a certification from IPEC. I have certification from ACE. I have a certification from uh, Harvard, from Stanford, from Purdue University. I study academically, but also I studied kind of from an industry perspective. I write a lot of papers. I do a lot of things in this world of leadership coaching. I sit on the panel of HR.com as an advisory committee, also an ICF, the Digital Coaching Committee. I'm part of Harvard Institute of Coaching.
Sorry, yeah, that was you still have 10 seconds because we are running out of time.
Okay, can tell you, okay. Also, I'm a very hard worker, very detailed oriented, very strong communication skills. I can tell you about the courses I took online if you
Mhm.
want. Uh,
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much. You have a great experience, actually. Thank you so much for all the details. Now, if we can go back to our discussion here with the methods.
yeah.
On a scale 1 to 10, Iyad, how would
Uh-huh.
you rate your answer?
I would give it probably 3.
3.
Mm.
Well, what does 3 mean to you?
Because I answered part of the question,
Mhm.
which is only my credentials, but I wasn't concise.
Mhm.
I was just talking and talking and talking and talking. So, and I only showed one side of my personality and one side of my strength.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah, it can be better with the concise part, but how can you make it more concise? What can you use?
I can use the power of 3 to
Mhm.
only mention three things about myself:
Okay.
my work experience, my
Mhm.
credentials, and why I'm applying for this opportunity.
Amazing. It will be amazing. Would you
Okay.
like to repeat it?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, let's start again.
All right, so thank you, Cynthia. I'm Iyad. Right now, I lead behavioral science and people and culture at a leadership coaching platform. I've been working as a leadership and executive coach for 15 plus years. I am a certified coach. I work with a lot of organizations, including Zoom, Netflix, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Google, the United Nations, the World Bank. And I'm applying for this opportunity because you are looking for someone who can uplevel the leaders and make them more effective and more efficient and also more engaging so that they can impact the whole culture of your organization. So thank you for this opportunity. I would love to tell you more about what I'm doing right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Iyad. Well, what can you give your answer now?
I would give it 7.
7. Well, why exactly?
I would say I try to be more concise. I use the power of 3 as we talked about. I
Mhm,
try to be relevant.
mhm,
What I can do better is more maybe energy and confidence.
mhm,
So
mhm.
talking, so I project that confidence, the energy, and not just like repeating, like following a script, which is not scripted, but I also can talk about the a bit of the impact and less of the credentials, maybe. I don't know.
Well, amazing actually that you mentioned all these. A bit more about the confident part. If you, I think you meant about the monotone in your voice. So
That's right.
if you can make your voice more and less monotone, it can
Okay.
be more confident. Because I think with your background and your experience, you are confident.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Um, okay, let's repeat the last time.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for the question. So I'm going to tell you 3 things about myself, about what I'm doing right now, my background, and why I'm here today. So right now, I lead people and culture and behavioral science at a leadership coaching platform, which is basically I provide coaching, but also I build the foundation of our coaching. And I love coaching so much to a point where I feel like I would rather do coaching than sleeping or anything else. So for that matter, I study coaching, I do coaching, I built my own private practice, and I got certified through multiple institutions and organizations. And now, right now, I sit on the advisory committee of HR.com and the International Coaching Federation. And today I'm here because what you're looking for is not a traditional coach who can just provide coaching. You're looking for someone who's accountable and who can take leaders from their level today to another level. So thank you so much for this, and I'm super excited.
Well. How do you feel now, Iyad?
I feel I'm more energy and more confidence and more authentic as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I agree. I felt that too. I felt the energy. And I think this is it. Your answer was enough. It has all the 7 C's, what, why, how, the power of 3. It was amazing. Maybe the part, if we can give a glance about the part, maybe it can be used in another question, maybe with being more clear with takeaways and what we learned from the process. Actually, Hayat was going to mention that in her answer.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it depends on the question. Where the part question are more the part framework, the problem, action, result, takeaway is more geared toward behavioral or situational questions. Like, tell me about a time when you had to deal with something or did something, or imagine a situation, situational, hypothetical situation. What would you do in this situation? Again, you would do the part method as well. Even if they don't ask you this question, the question this way, you can also partify it. So, for example, what are your strengths? what are your weaknesses? You can actually use part in that way, and that would be actually a bonus point. So, for example, um, what are your weaknesses? Well, one of my weaknesses, if you consider them weaknesses, is I sometimes go and overanalyze the situation after the situation is over. I keep thinking about it. So what I can do better, what I could have done better, and even if I deliver on time. So what I did is one project I did that. My boss gave me this feedback is that, hey, instead of asking what could have done better, maybe what can you do better next time? So that shifted my perspective from just thinking about the past and dwelling in the past to move forward in the future, which is more useful. And that's where I'm trying to work on. It just, I write it down. I have it as a reminder after every meeting or a presentation. So you see, that's a kind of a part method if you think about it, without actually make it a behavioral question.
Exactly, exactly. So,
Cool.
like here, guys, as you can see here, we finished our methods for today, our scenario practice. And thank you, Iyad. Thank you so much for this demo. And now we can take some questions. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat, and we are here to answer you. We have 10 minutes or 8 minutes, let's say.
So let's see, any questions?
Okay, and I have something for you guys. I will send you a survey link. If you can fill it, please. So we have your emails and we can send you the recording.
Cynthia, I have a question for you so we hear people.
Okay.
What is the question that you feel is making you sometimes confused? Should I answer it this way? Should I answer it this way?
Well, thank you so much. Very good question. Well, it's the salary question, actually. It's very
Okay.
controversial for me.
And what would you advise people? What would you do? Or I can share my perspective too, but
Yes. Well, I tried to learn more. What can I do to prepare for this question? I asked many people and searched for the answer. So for example, the company that I am applying for, it's very important to search for the company, know the salaries that they give, the the positions. Each position has different salary than the other. Also, networking. If I can get to know someone who's working in the company, so I know exactly the salaries that they give, so I can deal more with this question in the interview. So what do you think, Iyad? Also, another thing, they told me that don't use a range, tell them a fixed number, like for example, $500, not between 400 and 500. You're mute, Iyad.
sorry. So there's no right or wrong, like a right wrong answer. There's like a situation, a context. What I would do is personally, it depends on the stage of the interview. So if you just started the conversation, I recommend not sharing any numbers at the beginning and go through the process. A lot of companies right now are posting their ranges by law on their job posts, but if they're not posting and they're asking you, and you feel like your answer might harm you in a way or another in the process, I would probably refrain from that, like not actually share numbers and try not to ditch the question, but try to say intentionally and clearly and transparently that I don't want to talk about numbers right now. I would like to get to know the team, the problem, the team gets to know me, and then we can talk about numbers later in the process. I would be more than happy to share with you what I'm looking for once we get to the offer stage. Now, when you get to the offer stage, when you pass all the interviews and now it's ready, now when they're asking you what you're looking for, then you would say, ask them a question back to them. I say, what is your best offer you can give me? Or what is the range of this for this position? Especially if it's a big company with you know, a framework and ranges and they follow a standard, framework. But that's what I would do. And that happened to me recently. The recruiter asked me, hey, what are you looking for in terms of compensation? Say, well, be very honest. I'm so interested in this opportunity right now. I would like to focus on the conversation. But I'm sure you're a big company. You're well known. It's a very well known company. And I'm sure you're going to give me the best offer. Say, make sure I'll give you the highest percentage I can give you in this range for this position. So build trust and see the recruiter, not you're someone you can take something from or they can take something from you. Try to make it you and the recruiter against the problem, right? So you're together. It's a win-win, not because their benefit, they actually win if they hire you.
Mhm, mhm.
Make sense?
Amazing. Well, you gave me another perspective here. Thank you so much, Iyad. Yes. We have in the chat Alex, Elizabeth.
So we have 4 minutes or 3 minutes left. If we just act upon seven C's, I feel like it would be unnatural. It loses the flow and the spontaneous instant we possess. Okay. All right. Honestly, seven C's are too precise and utopian. What do you guys think? Instinct. Um, Good for you, right? So again, when we started the conversation, we said all models are wrong. Some are useful. If it's not useful, don't follow, all right? Do what matters to you. Do what's useful for you, right? That said, what our model is not, we're not saying there is a model actually. It's more about the common denominator of all tips and insights that people share. Nobody on earth would say you have to be boring and you can be say a lot of filler words and say something irrelevant, right? So we, instead of giving you a tip or an advice, what we're looking for is more a piece of advice. We're looking for is like kind of what are the common denominator for all good communications, and despite of it's like relevant to interviews or not relevant to interviews. So and it's a checklist. It's not like you have to be this and you have to be that. It's a spectrum on each one of these seven C's from 1 to 10 or 1 to just like what Cynthia did, and see how you can do it better. It's more like a process. Okay. Cynthia, what about you take the next one, the next question?
Okay, thank you so much, Iyad. What to say in case we lack experience but we finished degree? Okay. Alex is asking about the lack of experience but we finished degree. Well, it's related to the job that you're applying for exactly. If it's related to your degree, so you don't have to have more experience. Also, if it's like, for example, an internship, and you can fill your resume with the courses that you did, the projects that you did, the research projects. It's not all about the experience. Your voluntary work also can be an actual experience. Uh, so how can you start first applying for a job if you didn't have any experience before? So I think that you already have experience, but you need to know how you reflect it in your resume to mention the impact that you did in what you learned, not what you did as a work, for example, even in your study. But here I can answer the question if it was like more specific actually. What is the job that you're applying for exactly and what is your education? But this is in general when we are talking about experience vs education. What do you think, Iyad? You
Thank
are
you. Yeah. So, like experience, what we finished. The word experience is actually, I would read it differently. Experience doesn't mean post graduation experience per se. Could be experience before graduation, your internship, your volunteering, your community work, your side projects, your learning through capstone projects and through kind of practical experiences. So the word experience is more inclusive with a capital E, I would say. The second thing is when you apply, find opportunities. And if you're a student or a recent grad, that's the expectation that you don't have post-graduation experience, right? So think about it this way. Maybe I'm not a fit to start with, and I need to more focus my energy and search to be more specific and find the opportunity that align with my years of experience. Okay. I need to drop. I have another meeting after this. So thank you so much, everyone, and looking forward to chat with you next week. So thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day.
Bye. Bye-bye.